I've got my, so she's an honors student in the Department of Music and Performing Arts. Hmm? I think you're too young to be doing masters. A master's student, and I just want to acknowledge his supervisor at the back, Dr. Rudy Bauer, and they're correct to say, I can't be saying this, Glenn, that the music department is the department. I can't be saying that because all departments in the faculty are the important departments. So, and then we're really glad and honored that you could come and join us in the panel of so, and then we're really glad and honored that you could come and join us in the panel of teachers, of your teachers. So welcome and all the best.
Thank you, Prof. I'm trying to contain myself because I'm shaking so much and there's so many experts here, so thank you for having me. I don't know, when the music was playing, I could identify a specific instrument of which I will talk about, and it's actually Steelpans. That was in the audio there as well, so it's quite a nice transition into the topic. So my research is about Steelpan methodology, meaning how is the Steelpan instrument taught, because it's a distance apart from the common instruments that are taught or used to be taught in the department: saxophones, pianos, trumpets, etc., etc. And there's a nice quotation that is upcoming in the slides, where former HOD Professor Alethea de Villiers says, if I can just skip to that quotation quickly, where she says, introducing Steelpan as a main instrument was quite a major move away from the classical conservatoire. I wish to increase our music offerings and make the department accessible to more students. And I'm a living testament to that statement, because I've learned Steelpan from high school, Lawson High School, and Steelpan, the instrument itself, was not offered as an instrument in universities. And now the NMU, because of SSMT, the competition, and I was a part of that competition, and that's where conversation started of why don't we have these instruments at the department if there's so many schools, so many high schools and matric students are doing the instrument itself. And so I'm a living testament to that. And then moving on, just as a brief context and background of the instrument itself, it was just during and after World War I, where America had bases in Trinidad, and they would fuel the airplanes, etc., etc., and they would drop a bunch of oil drums, and they would go away. And then what the teenage boys in Trinidad and Tobago would do was just to go there and experiment with them. And one of those teenagers was named Eli Manette. And he went there and he did all of these experiments because they would have this festival called the Carnival in Trinidad and Tobago. And the Carnival is like the Cape Town, this Guma Guma. I don't know if you know that in Cape Town. Kapsa. Yes, thank you. So it's sort of a similar setting in Trinidad and Tobago, because the French colonizers, they used to do it, and the locals, the enslaved Africans at the time, would mock them and repel and riot against the government at the time, and they would use any material that can make as much noise and annoy the government at the time. So they would use metals, bottles and spoons, they would use glass, they would use biscuit tins and everything. And so how this instrument emerged was when they would beat these biscuit tins, and they would change shape. So they would have an indentation, a slant. And when you hit it, the pitch changes. So as it bends, it gets higher in pitch. So they were like, okay, this is interesting. This is in Trinidad and Tobago. And then moving on, the experiment that I talked about was Elimanet, the student, went to the bass and picked up the old drum, old barrel, and would beat it, make as much noise, and it would indent, and then they would actually have a group of these old barrels, and they started an ensemble where there would be bands from local communities that would represent their communities, and they would play, and they would have a healthy way of competing or celebrating, because there would be a lot of riots, and it would end up in violence. So that's how the instrument emerged, and moving on forward, the basic primitive layouts looked like this. So it would be just an indent, and it would have a specific pitch, and they would voice it within the ensemble. So that would be the bass, the big ones. The bass kittle would be the inner voices. So if you think of a choir, there's bass, tenor, alto. Like the bass kittle would be the inner voice, and then the soprano will be called the ping pong at the time. Okay, so then moving on. How did this instrument then come to South Africa? It was in the late 60s, 1960s, through Professor Andrew Tracy, who is a ethnomusicologist. He also lectured in Rhodes University. So in the 60s, he had this touring group called Wait a Minute, and he would go all over the world and would play songs, etc., etc. And then in the UK, he was in a bar and they were playing steel drums. So it's like, this is fascinating. So then he went to this guy and they chatted, and he ended up purchasing one. So in purchasing it, he brought it down to South Africa, and he started a band called the Andrew Tracy Steel Band in Makanda. And the students that were in this band, they played with him and they had fun, and then they went on to teach the instrument in respective high schools in Makanda and in Gqeberha as well. So then I am sort of a student of his students that were in this band, and then going forward, it emerged into an academic music instrument. So then going into this comment of Prof. De Villiers asking, why can't we have more of these African descent instruments within the department, so that we can move away from this classical conservatoire? And I'm proud to announce that NMU is one of the only universities to offer marimba and steelpan as a major instrument to study. Because someone like me who did steelpan in school, and what am I doing after matric? You could be so good in matric, and you don't know what's going on afterwards, because there's no university to continue your studies within the instrument. So I'm quite fortunate. And this is a picture of Nomoil Primary School, because I used to teach there in Missionville Care Center. And they didn't have someone to teach steel drums, and they had a bunch of them through the Field Band Foundation long ago. And I went there, and I saw all the instruments. I was like, okay, they just need to be tuned quickly, and they were tuned. And now they managed, it was this year, they were so talented and so good, they managed to be on stage at the Baxter Theatre for the first time ever in their lives. So it's such a life-changing instrument. There's so much potential. And now that I finished my BMAS degree, I've enrolled into master's. So going back to the topic, where I am at the moment is studying the teaching methods of steelpan, because yes, we have an instrument now, but there hasn't been anyone who knows how to teach it. At the moment, what's going on is we're using syllabi from piano, all the other instruments, and we're just applying it on steelpan. So we take a piece of saxophone, we just transcribe it in, and we figured it out. So it's such a crucial thing, because to develop a method of studying that's standardized internationally would be such a beneficial thing for future students. And being a student also myself, I wish I had that, but I'm fortunate to have had the teachers that supported me to where I am now. So lastly, the research also will also entail interviewing professors in America and other lecturers in the UK. And it's not only a local thing where it's Eastern Cape, of South Africa, it's also international, because it would be nice to see all the commonalities and what they do, how do they do, because they are professors and doctors in Steelpan, and they are from Trinidad and Tobago. So what are they doing, and how can we match that in order to follow that practice as well? And that's all I have for my slot. Thank you. Sorry, just one more. I just want to demonstrate and showcase to everyone the instrument that I brought. I just want you to see and hear. So this is the instrument, and it's actually made from an oil barrel. And you see the huge, okay, thank you. You can see the huge dent. So they've beat it with a hammer in a concave manner, and then the notes themselves are convex, and then because of the different sizes, you get different pitch. So then you get, so that's how it sounds. Let me just, so you get, this is D, E flat, E, F. So you can play chromatically, and when you can play chromatically, you can play any music. And you can also comp your chords, meaning play with both arms, so you can play chords and be an accompaniment, and then someone can lead. And then you get different types of, thank you, different types of voices. This is a lead, this is called a melody, just like I showed the ping pong. So the voice of it is to lead. And then you get other sets of instruments that are alto, that's called the double seconds, where you have 2 drums and you're playing it. The bigger the notes, the lower the pitch. And then you get guitars, and then you get the bass. It is actual oil barrels. And sorry, I'm just getting nervous. So you get 6 barrels, and on each, just one barrel, you get like 2 notes. And they are large in size, so they cover most of the area or the surface, thank you. And you play it with bigger rubber sticks so that you can get that low resonance. So that's where the instrument, and that's the demonstration. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Olcheni. Thank you so much, masters in the Department of Music and Performing Arts.